In this episode, Blair Bass talks about how he went from making $3,000 on his first deal and getting that under his belt gave him the confidence to go and make the profits he was really looking for, up to $20,000 per deal. You'll love this episode with Blair Bass. And if you've gotten anything from this podcast, please make sure that you're subscribed, and then please leave us a review. It means so much so that we can continue making content for you to help you on your path to financial freedom.
The DealMachine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
Today with us, we've got Blair Bass. Blair, in 60 seconds, can you tell us about you, what you're about, and what you do?
Yeah, great. My name is Blair Bass, of course. I'm a real estate investor out of Mississippi and Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a man of God, I'm a go-giver, and I'm a man of quality that loves to connect other people to get their real estate goals to the next level.
Amazing. And yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
What were you doing before you got into real estate?
So before in real estate, I was a college student and I transitioned into a residential youth counselor for 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like in your college, you were a youth counselor, or
no?
Like in your...
After I graduated college, I was trying to get a hospitality job, but due to family situations and my mother passing, I had to apply for another job to stay afloat until I found a hospitality job. So I chose residential youth counseling. So it helped me to be able to utilize my negotiation skills, but at the end of the day, be able to help children get to the next level in their transition into adulthood.
Gotcha. Why did you end up, that seems very meaningful and definitely a part of your identity as I know you today, like being a man of God, wanting to help people and being really engaged in your community. So why did you end up going to do real estate investing?
Well, hospitality is all levels of business. So I was trying to find a sector that I can enjoy, that it wouldn't be as stressful as the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry is great. You can connect with so many people, but it's so structured. It's 70 to 80 hours a week. And I was working at one position and the lady was just broken by the time she was never off. I just didn't want that for my life. So I wanted something that was flexible and that I can enjoy and I can have business all in one. So real estate is marketing, sales, advertising, and networking all in one. So I enjoyed that. So I chose that.
Gotcha. So if you were working 80 hours a week, that had to be really stressful. I remember back whenever I was first starting, in fact, in my job before real estate investing, I was like sleeping with my computer under my pillow because I was the software developer and the tech support person. And if I went out to the bar, I put the computer in my car. Actually, for my best friend's wedding, I had like an emergency issue come up, right? So I had to like leave the wedding reception to go fix this problem from my car with my hotspot. So I'm just curious for you, how did 80 hours affect, did you have a family at that time?
I had a stepson at the time. So
okay.
I just got into the hospitality space, but I didn't even make it through training, honestly. Like I went through the training part of it and I just really saw her and how she operated the job and how she operated with the employees. And in my mind, I was like, no, I can't do this. And then I tried it one other time with another company. It was a burger company out here. And the management was not the best. So I just chose not to. So of course, I struggled for a while because I was trying to find the next thing in business. But I chose hospitality for the love, but not for the stress.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of intel on like real estate now. How did you get in? What was your first deal like? What was your first experiences in what is now your life?
Sure. Okay. So I started in 2018 and I met with a real estate coach in Memphis, Tennessee. Her name is Kamitria Taylor. She was doing a free one-on-one course teaching you how to get into wholesale real estate. So I went to that for one day, and then she stated that you could do one-on-one coaching. So we did one-on-one coaching for a while, and her avenue was direct mail, and we sent direct mail to a high equity area in Memphis, Tennessee. The list didn't really hit with the contact rate now that I understand it, but we tried, and I cold called that same list to see if there was going to be any changes, but it didn't really work out. So I just went on YouTube University and just started soaking in the knowledge. Just every day I'm just learning something new about wholesale real estate. So it took me a year to get my first deal, and my first deal was from agent outreach, and I was calling agents just trying to see if they had any off-market properties that they wanted to sell or anything that was as is on market. And an agent had a deal where she was selling her mother's property, so that took 60 days to close. So 2019 was my first deal. And your last question was, what does my real estate business look like now? I utilize DealMachine. So I utilize DealMachine, and I do agent outreach. So I'm a part of TTP. So that helped me to be able to structure making cold calls the right way and talking to people the correct way. So those are my two avenues of prospecting for leads.
Yeah. Oh, and
Gotcha.
just
So
for somebody listening, TTP stands for Talk to People. And then also it's Brent Daniels is the real estate coach and that hosts that program. I'm really curious. You said your first deal was actually agent. You used a list and you cold called the list, and the list didn't hit. What do you mean by that? Tell me more about that list and why you think it didn't hit, why you didn't get any deals from it.
Yeah, so it was a high equity list out here in Collierville. So it's the higher end area within Tennessee.
So high equity, what would that be? Like more than 35%?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
that was the list. Okay.
Yeah. So the home values were 300, 400, 500,000. So the homeowners wouldn't sell for a discount. They would either list it with an agent or just keep it for long term.
Okay. And how many were on that list?
A couple hundred for sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. And okay, a couple hundred. That's really not that much.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a high equity list of a couple hundred houses with high equity. I mean, that's probably not going to get you a deal.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that was the problem. It just wasn't a big enough list.
Yeah.
Any other problems with that list, you thought?
Experience. I don't feel like I was good on the phones. I was just making offers, just trial and error. And they can hear that. A lot of homeowners were basically just brushing me off because I wasn't experienced. So that was probably the biggest.
They heard the nerves in the conversation. So what about the nerves in the conversation for that agent outreach? What was that? Because that was a first experience for you too. How did that conversation go?
I think it was a little better because I had the time to study and to take notes and to really dive into what real estate was and how do you structure deals and how do you get wholesale deals. So within that year of learning, it helped the learning curve. So when I was talking to the agent, I knew specifically what I was supposed to be asking. How can I assess the property? What am I looking for? And when I did set that appointment up, I had a friend that I went to school with. He was an investor, so he wanted to acquire the deal. So when we got there, he showed me everything from A to Z, what I was supposed to be looking for. And he structured the closing of the deal. So he got the property under contract. So I saw that. So it helped me to be able to break down and negotiate a deal and to assess a property at the same time. So I got value from selling that deal to him.
And when you
relationships are super strong for you on your marketing strategy. Tell me about finding your first buyers. How did you go about finding your first buyers and what was that conversation like?
That's a good question. So just really networking on social media, using the real estate groups, just finding out who are the top buyers in the city, just being able to connect and going to networking events. So finding who is the main players in the city. The circle is small in real estate. So if I know who's really doing it, just asking questions, how they got started, really just finding out about them as a person, it opened more doors for me to find out what am I looking for in my market. So that really helped.
One of the top questions I hear from somebody who's trying to get their first wholesale deal is, can I wholesale something that's listed by an agent? I'm curious if you could clarify, what did you say to the agents? Which agents did you reach out to? And then Was that property actually listed?
No, it was off market. Yep. But basically, when you're talking to agents, you just give them what you're looking for. And there's different levels of agents. There's some agents that are willing to help you. There's some agents that are just strictly retail. And there's just some agents that are just new. So they don't really give you much insight. But the ones that are really active in the market, they pretty much go off what you're giving them. So if you see something that may be potential, that may be as is, you just ask us the same questions that you normally ask a homeowner. What's the condition? What's the seller's situation? Do you have any offers on it? And if they do have any offers, is there an opportunity to come in with a cash offer? And then you structure it that way.
Were they open or receptive to you coming in at a approach for wholesale? Like, did you explain like that you were going to potentially find another buyer for it?
No, not on this situation. So I told her this was actually my partner. So it helped a lot. And he came at the right time. So she understood. I think she was in distress. Her mother was on the verge of passing away. So she had levels of distress and she didn't want to list it and deal with all that on top of dealing with burial and all those other things. So she was ready to sell and she didn't have to deal with all the listing part of real estate. So she was just ready to sell.
Got it. And how did that agent end up finding out about a deal like that if the person didn't even want to talk to an agent, didn't even want to list it with an agent?
So for this particular deal that my first deal or just in general?
Yeah, the first one.
Oh, so that was actually her mother's property. So she was just trying to sell that property outright because,
Got it.
Yeah.
And how much did you end up making on that deal?
I made $3,000 off that deal.
$2,000.
No,
$3,000.
Yeah.
What's the biggest wholesale deal that you've done so far?
$20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah.
So after a full year, I bet it felt really amazing to get that $2,000 check, even though it wasn't $20,000, even though it wasn't your biggest one. I bet it felt really great. How did that change once you did your first deal?
It was proof of concept. So once you understand the process and it works, then you're like, okay, now I can try to do it again. So it helps. Yeah. So it helped me.
It's repeatable. You just have to know, you have to get that muscle memory. It's like with anything, you just have to know after the first one, it gives you a little bit of confidence and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, man.
So now how many deals, what is your average deals per month, or how many deals have you done this year?
This year I've done one deal so far. It was a referral.
Okay.
So that's mainly my business structure right now. I get a lot of referral leads right now. My market has changed a little bit. So it's kind of, you have to do more in order to get more opportunities. So my work ethic is a little harder. And now that my daughter is getting ready to get in preschool, so I have more time to structure making offers. So my main goal is to make 5 offers a day, but I want to up that to 15 to 20, maybe 25 on market so I can get the no's, because there's going to be one or two. But that's basically what my structure is right now, just to be able to make as many offers as I can on market. Well, if a deal comes and I'm instantly just giving an offer to a wholesaler or an investor that's ready to sell, 9 times out of 10, they're not ready yet. They want a specific price. So that's okay. But I'm just giving as many offers as I can right now to anybody that sends a deal to me.
Gotcha.
And you're operating solo? It's just you. You're the one-man show?
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What else do you do to stay involved in real estate outside of your wholesaling?
Well, I go to networking events. I reach out to a lot of investors that are in the city, and I plan on doing a summer camp with another investor, Kamitria, that was my first coach. So we plan on doing a summer camp for 15 to 18-year-olds that are in the inner city that are trying to change their life scope and their family structure. So we're going to teach them about financial literacy, real estate investing, and then we're going to have other investors come in to speak to them, to tell them the beauty, the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate. So I feel like the coaching part has helped me to be able to help other people, and people come to me all the time for advice, But if I had this advice when I was 15, 16, and I'm 34 now, my life would probably be totally different. So I want to be able to help somebody else that can change their scope of life. So that's probably the biggest thing that I'm going to do over the summer, and just being able to add value to the community. That's my favorite part, just to be able to connect with
That's awesome.
other investors. Yeah.
So I know you said you want to up your offers from 5 offers per day to 15.
Right.
Are those properties that you're finding that are run down and looking distressed that you're adding to your DealMachine account?
Yeah. So those are DealMachine as well as on market as is deals. So
okay.
Yeah.
So how do you decide where to go use DealMachine?
That's a great question. So talking to buyers, you know where they're buying, you know what criteria they're looking for, you know what percentage they need to buy. Now, as a fix and flipper, they have to buy deeper. So I go in those areas and I drive. And if I don't have time, I do it virtually. But if I see any sign of distress, I just use the tap to add feature, and I just tap and go. I don't really dive too deep into what the house looks like. If I see a distress, I'm just adding it, and then I'll just reach out to the homeowner as soon as possible.
So let's break that down a little bit, because I have this question so frequently. People do not know exactly where to drive or what distressed means. And somebody was just in my direct message the other day asking me if they should be driving an hour away from their house. Because they're like, I can't find a rundown house anywhere closer than an hour from my house. Okay. And I think that's just can't be true. They just need a little bit of clarification on where to drive and what types of properties to add. Can you just pretend like you're talking to that person and give them advice on like where to go drive and what properties to add?
Yeah. So you want to drive in hot zip codes. A hot zip code is where investor activity is going on. You see a house that may be a rental. It's freshly painted. There's great landscaping. There's no trash in the yard. But a distressed house is the exact opposite. A house that may have a mailbox full of mail. You see patches on the roof. You see 5 to 10 cars in the grass. You see the broken down cars in the driveway. Or you just may see something that just needs TLC. So TLC means fresh new paint. Shingles need to be repaired. And something that just looks vacant. You can tell from a house that's brandly just renovated versus something that needs a whole fresh remodel. So just look from a different scope. Just drive in the neighborhood and just look with a different eye scope. And you'll definitely see a house that stands out that the new house doesn't bring to the table.
When I hear that somebody had to drive an hour to find a rundown house, I know they're being way too strict with what they're looking for. I think they're looking for just some 2x4s, right? Because the house has been burned down. And I'm like, yo, I don't even touch this. Honestly, that's like way too distressed. What I would look for is exactly like you said, maybe the windows have peeling paint. Maybe those bushes are overgrown and the rest of the neighborhood looks fine. Maybe it's just like a 50-year-old house and you can tell for sure that thing hasn't been updated, not a piece of it, right? And so those are some of the best deals that I've done. They were actually owner occupied, and they were a structure, right? Like they had a good roof, they had good bones, and it just looked like it hadn't been updated. And the paint lifetime is probably 20 years. So after a while, it's going to start peeling, and that's exactly what it looked like.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've struggled to over the course. I mean, we've been at it in the same town, which the population of St. Joe is like 76,000. And over the course of time, since we've been, we originally picked up just like we were looking for the houses that were boarded up, and that was it.
Okay.
There's not many of those left now. Literally, you can drive all over St. Joe, and it's like it's trying to find a house that's got boarded up doors. They're not there anymore, which is a great sign. That tells us that we've made a significant impact, but that changed the scope of what was a distressed prop for us. It changed. No longer could we look for boarded up doors. So really, it's kind of follow what is in your community. Look what's best, and then go find something that's less than what's that.
Yeah, man.
Define what is a good investment property, and then go around and look at all the ones that are around that are not as good as that one. And that's, I mean, for us, that's, and man, deals get so much easier to do when they're not distressed to that extreme level. I mean, because your buyer pool is a little bit larger than you have. If it's a full renovation, you're limited to that guy that's got a crew. But when it's like paint, flooring, light fixtures, rent ready, then you've got so many more eyes, so many more people that are into that type of thing.
Very true. Very true. Very true. I agree. Yeah. You just want to be able to leverage your time wisely. If you see something that may look dated, just add it. Just don't overthink it. I think a lot of people overthink driving for dollars. It's the simplest thing that you can do. It's your own list. So make it the list that you're looking for as an investor.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a particular person I was DMing, they had only added 16 properties. And they said their market just doesn't work for this. But in reality, I mean, Blair, how many properties do you have to add to find a deal?
Thousands. I would say at least 1,000.
Yeah.
For my market, 1,500. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so I just want anybody listening to not get hung up on finding the perfect property to add, but realize literally anything that you might notice is worth adding, because you need to bump your numbers up. You need to add hundreds, if not thousands of properties to find that first deal.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially
Blair, how many postcards do you send to those? Are you in the multiple hit list?
So now that I've got the training and listening to you guys in your podcast, I know 5 is the sweet spot. So I try to send mail to at least that distress house at least 5 times within 5 months. So once a month they're getting hit, but I'm cold calling that same list. So if I don't get a response after I finish the list, then I know there may be an opportunity to send that specific house again, a different kind of mail piece. So I cold call first, go through the list to see if I do get a hit, see if they're interested. And then I'll send the mail on top of that. And then if there's return mail, then I know that's some levels of motivation there, because now that there's something going on where I need to dive a little bit deeper in the situation.
Harder to find.
Yeah, man. So I have I have a stack that I need to go through as soon as possible with return mail for sure.
Well, just talking gets me. I just want to go drive for dollars now, and then cold call. Because, dude, I'm serious. Like first off, that is one of the most fun things to do. You just get to drive around and look at houses. But it really is important for people that are trying to get their first deal. They underestimate. I don't know where it comes from, how it gets fostered, but they underestimate the value in driving for dollars. You're literally picking out the houses for your own list. You don't have to compete with a bunch of other people who are already going to cold call or send mail to the same list. Like you cannot fish in the same pond when there's only one fish in there. You got 10 people standing around throwing a lure, and one of you will catch it, but the rest of you are going to stand there forever and hope, well, man, maybe it'll come back again. But man, like, so what else maybe outside of work what makes you feel like a little bit better business person outside? What's your outside of work motivation?
So there's a couple of things. So I changed my diet, so I don't really eat meat anymore. My diet's number one. I work out, so I challenge myself with different fitness challenges every month. So this month is just doing push-ups and curls every day. So I'm on day 17 now. I've been a DJ for like 13, 14 years. So I do that on Sundays. I don't do any social. I just focus on family, faith, and fitness and music. And then number one is God. You know, I read a lot. So I read the word of God every day. And that's the firm foundation of my life. So that helps me to be able to focus in on what the priority is. It's just to help others and to be able to inspire the right way. So I don't really look at the money's just a byproduct. So everything else comes from that. Yeah.
One of the things that I was really interested in that you told me when we met in person last month was that you get up at 4 a.m. and you actually do your reading. And that's before the kids get up. That's before anything else can distract you. And tell me about waking up at 4 a.m. because that is much, much earlier than I've ever been able to consistently wake up.
Yeah, man. So I started that. It was a gradual process. So I started at 6, then I trickled down to 5, and then one day God was like, if you want more, then you got to do more. So he was like, you got to get up earlier. So I was like, okay, let me do this. All right. So I tried 4. So getting up at 4 really helps me to focus in on nothing but him, because it's dark outside. There's nothing else to it's quiet. So I have no distractions. So being able to get up at 4, I can choose how my day starts. So if I feel the need to pray, then I'll just pray. If I feel the need to just read, I'll just read. So that helps me because there's no distractions. And I feel like most serious entrepreneurs, they have to get up earlier to start their day in order to have some kind of clarity. And that was my clarity. And I've done it since 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I really love that you do what's most important to you first, because for me, I also got on a fitness journey about a year ago.
Okay.
And when I would do my workout in the evening, it would actually sometimes get pushed up if something urgent happened later in the day. Well, some days I just wouldn't get my workout in. And so what feels incredible is waking up, going to work out. For me, I'm at the gym by 7 o'clock every morning so that I've gotten what's the most important thing done for the day. And you can't really serve others if you don't serve yourself first. You have to be in a really great place mentally, spiritually. And that seems to me the same thing that I've experienced, right? That you're taking care of first before you do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like an airplane, if the airplane's getting ready to go down, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of the next person beside you.
That's right. Yeah. Put your own oxygen mask on first.
So that's how I look at it.
So what finish out the year, Blair?
So my goal is to cap at 100K. My goal is 100K to grow sales. And by doing that is just to be able to make more offers. So I'm going to up my offers. I'm going to drive more in these areas where investors are driving in. So the goal to add the DealMachine is at least 10,000 to 12,000 leads to be able to maximize my skill set. And then once I close a couple of deals, I'm going to hire a driver to be able to leverage my time wisely so I can make more offers through these leads that I'm getting from my driver. So those are my big goals, and to be able to connect with as many people as possible so organic leads can come to my way.
Yeah, I could tell you're just a people person. You love connecting with people.
Yeah, that's my jam. Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, connecting with people that just brings more value to yourself by helping other people. It just makes you to be able to generate more opportunities because you're not trying to get anything in return. Your return comes back other ways. So
100%.
Yeah.
Blair,
love it.
Is the best spot for people to connect with you on Instagram?
Yeah, and Facebook. So you can reach out to me on Instagram at intrepid_investments, or on Facebook personally, just Blair Bass. And now if you shoot me a DM, I'll definitely respond back Monday through Saturday for sure.
That's right, because Sunday is off limits.
Yeah. There's no messages on Sunday.
Well, I loved hearing about your discipline, Blair, and then also your first deal and getting into real estate and how that's impacted, your life and your family, not having to work 80 hours a week anymore. Yeah. And I'm just so thankful you spent some time with us this morning. Yeah, please pass on our thanks to your family, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. I thank you guys. Keep crushing it,
man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.